All right, dried. And I also have some genuine Viva paper towels. I wouldn't want you using cheap paper towels on your painting. Okay. Here we go. Now, what I wanted to show was some of these contour lines. Anytime that you can find that you've got some kind of shaping like this and you happen to need some contour will help you indicate the shape, because you're two-dimensional, so anything like that can help. So in this case we have wrinkles. What can I say? I never appreciated wrinkles so much. All right, so now I'm going to take something kind of mid-tone again here. Well, actually, I'm picking up something kind of light. It's great on these palettes. You can have these little dried, thin areas, and you can pick up interesting color. Oh, why don't I do that? We've got, see where it's separated out? We don't have much of that, but I'll just pick up some of that because it might be fun. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some of those contour wrinkly shapes in here. Don't make them all the same. You know, there's a short one. There's a couple of short ones, and then here's a longer one, and it's got a little thingy there on the end. You know, I could leave that just like that, and I might normally soften that, but the fact is that we're going to have color going on top, and if anything, these may not be strong enough. I think I'm going to make this area a little darker here. I could save that and do that later when I add more of another color on top. I think most of us are probably going to do golds and browns, but I have some people that want to experiment with like red and blue giraffes or some kind of fun color instead of natural color. Not that any of the color that we ever do is really natural. Look at these two spots right here. Okay, those are spots, but they're kind of these nice little symmetrical places. So let's see. That's just asking for me to take my brush and put it about right there and just kind of stamp something down. Man, you see the brush itself is making the shape I need, and it looks cool there. I like that when you can do that. There are other places along here on the face where you could do a little more of that. And again, that's going to indicate that instead of being a flat plane in front of you, it's angled away from you. And there's a whole bunch of spots like that you could do. Okay, let's go ahead and I might even take a larger brush and just kind of mop in. I'm on dry paper now. I'm just going to kind of mop in this. We could call it muzzle. It's not the muzzle. This is the upper lip. These animals have got gigantic lips. Let's see here. That's pretty light. I could come in and, oh, I've got some nice, that's my pencil lines. You could come in and soften some of these edges because it's a nice furry, soft upper lip. And lower lip. It must be, because I wouldn't call that a chin. You can call it what you want to call it. Oh, look, some of this is running down here. I'm going to let it. And then I'm going to take some paint that's a little bit stronger. while this is still wet. Let's see what happens here. Now, you don't always have happen what you want to have happen. But the thing is learning to just make adjustments when it's not, when what you wanted isn't happening. So, that's not bad, but I need to wash up my brush and get the extra water off of it. So I call this water neutral because it's not going to let down water. And I'm just going to pull some of it up, and oh, I'm getting some streaky looking places. Well, that looks kind of fuzzy. I'll stick with that. Yeah. There's a little kind of fold there on the lip. Okay, we could do that. We could come under here. See, this is still wet. But I'm using stronger paint. If I don't use more concentrated paint, it'll just flood in with the rest of it and it won't show up. But because I'm working on paint that's fresh out of the tube too, I can just take the tip of my brush and stick it in there like that. You can do that with your dried paints too. In fact, you have to be a little bit more careful when you do it with the fresh paint that you don't get too much. So there's kind of the edges of the mouth, and under here, let's see if this is still damp enough. Yeah, it is, because I just made a mark in it with my finger. So I could do this. Now this may be a little hard, and so what I recommend is, if you're new at this, you get the first layer dry, and then you add some water and do this, because you'll just have a little bit more control. There we go. So that's the beginning of the mouth. I've got a line there that's really weird. Let's just come in and put it in a few other little light places. Right here on the nose, side of the nose, is a marking, I think. The giraffe seems to have, you know, some of these symmetrical markings, like you see in a lot of dogs. I think this should come over a little further. Like that. Then I can come in here and put a little edge on this. I could have pre-wet it. I should have probably. So let's just wash out the brush and do this and soften that edge. Now, because you're especially if you're new at this, you're probably not going to get quite as controlled an areas as I did, but you're going to be adding a lot of color on top of this, and so don't worry about every little thing, you know, that goes off, because they will. I mean, I have a lot of things that go off and I don't worry about them, but some of you might. So drew that eye a little bit around there. Let's see. I think I'm going to put a little more shadow in under here, in that area right there. There's a whole lot of places where one could go in and find things to fix. Now, little spots like this, I don't need to pre-wet anything. I want to leave a little white edge there. See, that's the back side of the ear that's lapped around the front. Okay, now, I think what I should do is wait for this to dry, but I'm not. So, know that you should. I'm just putting a little bit of tone in there. The main reason I'm putting that in there, well, there's two reasons. One, it just makes me feel better about the general contours that I'm looking at because that was jumping out at me. But the other reason is that actually this color will make some nice tone on the lighter areas. This actual moon glow or whatever purpley thing you have mixed, it just needs to be real pale in areas like that. I've got a line there that doesn't belong. So, let's see, what else do I need to show? Oh, there's another thing that you want to watch out for, and that is the shaping of this nose. You've got this big bump here. Yeah, this big bump here on the forehead. But then as it comes down, it gets narrower and more concave there as it comes down to the tip of the nose. So I had a lot of people, including possibly me, yeah, that got this kind of strong through here, and it just looks like a straight line coming down, and very unnatural. So this is one of the places you have to watch out for. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to pre-wet this area again. And a lot of the time when I pre-wet a place like this that's not going to have an edge on it, I may pre-wet further out than I expect to paint. Like I said, you're probably not going to get too much water with this little brush. So, let's pick up some paint here. I don't know, something about like that. I don't have a lot of my brush because if I pick up out of one of these areas where it looks thin, it's kind of dried, I'm going to get a small amount of paint. So I'm not going to get overpowered with it. I can always add more. So there's this area coming right down this, I don't know, brain bump, whatever it is. Oh my, that's strange. Okay, wash out the brush. And you know what? We could kind of contour that shape. Kind of comes up and kind of curves this way. I'm just making some little wrinkles coming out from there. Cause I can. Okay. That's a little strange. I think I'm off a little bit. Well, if I'm off, all I have to do is I can let it dry and I can come back and work on this. I'm not letting it dry, but don't do what I'm doing. There. You know, it's just a matter of how many miles you got on the brush, whether you are comfortable doing that. You have to get some miles on the brush. That's all there is to it. Now this area is a little darker in the middle, and it gets light on the sides. So let's just put a little bit of tone in here. The main reason I'm putting this in here is that it helps me see if I've got my shaping right. Now I'm making some shaping, and this will also be a guide when I put heavier color in. Now I'm coming in here, and I'm just doing that to the edges. Oh, pretty good. Okay, so there's a lot of little spots in here, and most of them are pretty pale. Oh, there's a little smudgy area right there under the eye. Here's another shape along here. And here's the thing, you don't have to get all these, but you need to get, again, this is a good time to plan it. You do want them to be long and thin here. That's one of the major things about this. And some of them are going to go right over the edge because you can't see the whole spot. You just see part of it. Let's put one down here. Again, these are going to get brown on top of them. up. There. Now, you're just going to work your way on down. So I think that pretty well shows the techniques. That place there, see, that's a little rough, but it's going to work out. And the main thing I'm looking for is, does it look giraffe shaped? And quite frankly, sometimes I think only another giraffe would know for sure. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this other finished picture down here for a second so that it kind of gives you a long picture on the video. And I'm going to turn off the video and go away. So, bye.